As my wife and I rounded the corner going into our neighborhood last weekend, I spotted a sight I had to look twice at to believe. There, coming up the long, steep sidewalk toward us, was an elderly woman pushing a hand truck which cradled a large rock of at least 100 pounds. Somehow she had gotten halfway up the hill, but still had at least 50 yards to go to reach the top. Then she would have to turn and go another 50 yards to get home with her treasure. The combination of her age, the size of the rock, and the sweltering Georgia summer heat looked like the recipe for a disaster. I couldn't help but instinctively blurt out, "Wait! We have to stop and help her." As I jumped out of the car and ran over to grab the hand truck from her, the look in her eyes was unforgettable. It was a combination of relief, pride, and exhaustion. I asked her what she was doing, and she told me the story of how this rock, which was given to her by a neighbor, would be the crowning jewel in her new garden. The only awful catch was that the neighbor had asked her to carry it home herself. With her husband in poor health, and not knowing what else to do, she walked to the neighbor's home, somehow loaded the huge rock, and began the half-mile trip uphill back to the rock's final resting place at her home. How she had gotten as far as she had, I don't know. But as we finally got to her little garden, I slid the rock off and wedged it into its perfect place among the beautiful flowers and plants. As I began to leave, she thanked me, and a tear of happiness and fatigue trickled down her weathered, rosy cheek. It suddenly flashed through my mind that this time today had been a perfect metaphor for what each of us sometimes feel about our path to happiness, in that it can truly feel like we're pushing a boulder uphill to a destination far, far away. But if we can be determined and persistent in reaching our goal of happiness, somehow it'll happen, and the result will be well worth the price we paid.